Anu, thanks for joining us today. We want to focus on macroeconomics in this conversation, that macroeconomics has been a relatively neglected area in gender work and why we need to focus on it now.
Let me begin first by talking about the fact that macroeconomics as a field has typically been seen as being gender neutral, largely because we talk about monetary policies or fiscal policies, exchange rate policies, and since we're talking at the macro level, these policies deal with macroeconomic aggregates, the level of inflation, for instance, or the level of growth in an economy, and intuitively it's not clear what these macro aggregates have to do with women or with gender for that matter. Nonetheless, we know that the macroeconomy actually is what shapes and sets the framework within which we talk about gender equality, within which women's advancement on economic empowerment has to be forged. So for those reasons, it's really important to look at how the macroeconomy in fact shapes outcomes for men and for women in the labor market, but also builds on certain structural gender biases, such as, for instance, the level of unpaid care that women end up having to disproportionately do.
All right. So one last question, Anu, before we finish. What sort of changes would we expect to see and where, were we to have a gender-responsive or gender-aware set of macroeconomic policies in place?
I would say at least we can identify 4 areas in which we need to shift the way macroeconomic policy making has been determined in countries. One, we need to broaden the focus and the objective of macroeconomic policy so that it goes beyond simply looking at the level of growth to attending now to the pattern of growth, since it's really the pattern of growth which matters for outcomes for women's economic empowerment. The second area I would say is that macroeconomic policy tools such as monetary policy or fiscal policy can play a very important role in moving an economy towards generating more productive employment and therefore taking women out of the informal into formality. And I would say the third point is, of course, the one of resources of fiscal space. For us to have any transformational impact in terms of these outcomes, we need to have adequate resources for investing in gender equality. And I think there we need to really look at how to transform fiscal policy.
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Anu.
Thank you.